It's just an old beat up truck. Some say that I should trade up now that I got some jangle in my pocket. But what they don't understand is it's the miles that make the man. I wouldn't trade that thing in for a rocket. What they don't know is my dad and me, we drove her out to Tennessee. She's still here and now he's gone. So I hold on. That is I Hold On by Dierks Bentley.
Nicely done, man. Well done. Very well done.
Yeah, I haven't listened to country in a bit, but that's one of those ones that just, it means a lot.
No, and you did it justice, man. It sounded great. Thank you so much, Scott.
I haven't sung since karaoke night before COVID, so.
Oh, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
Is that a routine for you? Karaoke evening?
It was before I started a business and
now?
Tried to do something with my life.
And now you're busy all the time.
I am busy. I am stuck in the construction life, but
Scott,
I chose it.
I know you were texting me and sending. He's like, "Yeah, it's construction." I kind of. It's almost like becoming a period now, eh? It's just like the end of a statement somebody says in the industry.
I say it all the time. Not everyone understands what I'm saying.
I know. They got to listen to this show. It takes a special breed. Yeah. Welcome to the construction life.
It's great to find you.
And you've driven quite a distance to get here. And I know I suggested the Zoom, but
no, not happening.
I agree with you, man. 100%. It's always a better conversation in person.
I wanted to see the wall too.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
The wall that I won't reproduce one day, but maybe I will reproduce, but I'll do it different day. So it's not bad. It's not bad in person, man.
No, it's beautiful.
No, so thanks so much, Scott. I really appreciate it. So I want everybody to know, so we're here, and we're going to give the correct pronunciation, right? Sauve.
We are. Sauve.
Sauve, sorry. Sauve Construction, and it's spelled, even though it's spelled S-A-U-V-E.
That's right.
It's Sauve. 3 years, so right before COVID.
Yes.
Or right at the beginning of COVID.
January 1st, 2020.
A lot of guys were doing that, man. That must have been nerve-wracking.
How are we to know?
We weren't. Nobody had no clue, and now we're, I guess, behind it.
Yeah. I actually was in the Carpenters Union when I started my business at the start of COVID. So I was doing the Carpenters Union thing until the summer of 2020. And then I was just like, I can't go to someone's kitchen at 6 o'clock at night and start working.
No.
I need to drop the day job, even though it was like a dream day job, like it was a good job. But I was trying to do my business on the side, and it wasn't right.
You know, Scott, that's not going to be the last time that it's going to be a moment like that where you're going to be working away and then you're going to make a decision that's going to really conflict you, right?
Yeah. But I mean, I had a couple friends that had their own business, and they're just like, I actually had one of my close friends. He's like, "Where are you working, man?" I told him the address. He drove up to where I was working. It was at like 6:30 or 7 on a Wednesday night, because I'd already worked my 7 to 4 in the Carpenters Union. And I remember he said, "Come out front." He stepped on my trailer tongue, and he's like, "Are we ready to quit our job?" And I'm like, "I don't know, man." And then, I did the usual, like, "Oh, I'm not sure. I'm worried. What if I don't have work?" And he's like, "You're going to quit your job." And he's like, "Everything's going to be fine." And he's like, "If you need work, I'm here. You have friends that have their own business. We'll give you work." He's like, "Come on, man, you can do it. Believe in yourself." And then my next day in the Carpenters Union, I was just like, I was gone.
But you left on amazing terms that if things didn't work out, you could make a phone call.
Nope.
No?
No, they,
they waved goodbye?
So I was in the Carpenters Union, and I was doing a lot. I was working for a GC, and they were actually a very good company. And a lot of times in the Carpenters Union, you might only work a couple weeks and get sent away, but they liked me. So I actually was with them for quite a while. It was almost a year. But I was doing a lot of general labor jobs, like just a lot of commercial general contractor work. Like I was doing this sump holes and stuff like that. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that kind of work. My dad's actually has been in the laborers union since he was about 20 years old.
You were learning too.
Yeah, so there was nothing wrong with that. But I'm a carpenter. I want to do carpentry. I want to do crown molding. I want to do trim. And it just, in the Carpenters Union, it's actually, the stereotype is real. It is mostly form work.
Oh, that's 100%. Scaffolding and form work.
And scaffolding. So I was at a point where I'm like, I think I was 33 at the time. And I'm like, I'm like, this is a great career, but I'll never reach my potential doing this because I'm not able to sharpen any of the skills that I'm actually interested in. So I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to quit. And that, cause I didn't want to be 45, 50 going, oh, I should have done it then. I should have done it then. But what happened with my employer was they were a bit slow and they just weren't providing me with enough carpentry work.
They knew that you were hungry, that you wanted to.
They did. So they said, you know, we really like you. You know, there's a chance that you could retire with us.
They're already talking that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they liked my attitude so much, but I have a great sense of humor. And I was a great worker. So they were keeping me on doing most of the, like putting up the fences and cleaning out holes, and just the work was okay to make a living, especially at the pay rate that I was making.
Of course, yeah.
But I was like, I need to be a carpenter. So anyways, so it was slow. They were keeping me busy. It was the middle of the summer, and I had all these job requests like in my inbox because I started my business. My Gmail was full, and I'm like, I want to do these jobs. I want to do them on Monday morning. I don't want to do them on the weekend. So I said, I sent a text message and I said, hey, if you guys don't have any actual carpentry work for me, I think it might be better for me just to do my own thing. And didn't respond. I sent the message around 11 o'clock in the morning. At 2:30, they had a general laborer come around, which was one of my good friends. He came around the corner and he's like, oh, this is kind of awkward, man. I have to have this conversation with you. Yeah, so if you don't want to work here, you're laid off. If you have any tools or whatever, you need to take them to the office. So
Really?
that day.
So they just shut everything down, huh?
Yeah, I think they were a little bit upset that they gave me that opportunity.
And you turned it down.
And I was like, sorry, I can do better. Like that is a really, it's hard to switch. It's not a profession switch. But I can see that I could imagine that there's a lot of people with really good jobs, like say a nurse or something like that, but they wanted to quit that, to do something.
Well, they were probably so used to people hearing what they were saying to you and kind of accepting it.
It was scary. Like it's not, I don't know if it was, I'd say it wasn't a smart idea, but I know that it's the cliche, you have to follow your heart.
Oh, you had a calling, man. And I think, how did you feel when you kept on seeing all those emails coming in for work? And I love that you were saying, I wanted to start these jobs on Monday, not on Saturday.
Yeah.
That's
I was trying to do it at 5:30, so I would work, and then I would have an energy drink, and I'd eat a peanut butter sandwich in my truck, like outside their house, and I'm like,
okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Good
But
for you, man.
yeah, so that was really tough because I mean, at my pay rate it was close to $40 an hour, pension benefits,
And it was only going to grow in pension.
and it took me 11 years to get into the Carpenters Union. Of me sending my resume for 11 years.
So how did you survive all the sweats, and like, how did you must have been panicking, man. Like, that's
tough.
a big decision.
Yeah. I was panicking, but again, I had a support group. I had at least 3 people that own their own construction company. And I've had so much support, like with the downtime. Like, people always say, oh, you must be crazy busy. I'm not working 51 weeks a year, especially in March, pretty slow. But it's just grit, and it's not very healthy at times, but I'm so stubborn that I've survived this long. There was lots of nights where I was just like, this ain't looking too good, but I'm so stubborn that you can make it work.
But 3 years later,
you cannot give up.
No,
you can't give up. But again, I had a lot of people around me that were able to help me out when times were slow. And
did you have more industry people around you, or more personal family?
I would say it was more personal.
Okay.
Personal. As far as the industry people, they were all entrepreneur. Like, they had their own businesses. That, like, they're the only people that are going to tell you to start your own business,
They'll tell you
or
the
it's going to
truth.
be okay.
Yeah.
The other people that work for large companies are like, oh, you're crazy. Like, I mean, I knew the hours were going to be crazy. I was okay with that because I was working 2 jobs. I used to think, I'm like, I want to work like Elon Musk. I thought that that's what I actually wanted. I thought it was cool to work, 7 a.m. till 9:30 at night. So I knew that the hours were going to be crazy, and I was like, whatever, I can do it. But it has been at least probably 3 times harder than I thought it would be.
Than you ever planned, imagined.
Yeah, like the sacrifice. The sacrifice is, it's real.
But you look like you're holding it up well, Scott.
Yeah, I'm at the point now where it's been 2 winters and
You've
we're good.
you've gone through the ups and downs.
Yeah, and the self-doubt is starting to leave. That's the biggest thing that has ever held me back, and I'm sure a lot of people, not discounting your work.
That's got to be the biggest and the hardest hurdle out of all of it, eh?
Yeah.
Like, that you've got all this talent and you've got this passion, you got this calling, and then you still have something just chipping away at you, telling you this ain't right. This ain't right.
So I mean, it sounds like I'm flip-flopping with, I quit a really good job to do this. But I'm saying it was very difficult. Like, I want to encourage people to do it, to follow their heart. But it really was a lot more difficult than I thought it would be to survive. A lot of late night drives and,
Yeah, but those drives make you think.
Yeah, they do. They do. But yeah, right now I'm feeling as good as ever.
Good for you, man.
Yeah. And yeah, it's been pretty wild. I'm glad I did it though. I'm 35. I just turned 35 in September.
Nice.
And I'm so glad that I made the jump. I was 32, or I think I was 32 when I decided to do it.
Can you see yourself if you would have stayed, what you would have been like? You can picture that person?
Yeah, well, I know, maybe financially I'd be doing a lot better, but I'd always be, staring off going, I think I can do better. Now I don't have that. That thought isn't there. Like, I sometimes obviously do say, I think I can do better. I think I can do better, but I'm doing it. Sometimes I get pretty stressed out, and then it's like, wait a second. When I was 22 years old, what did I want to do? I wanted the pickup truck with all the miter saws and all the cool drills, and I have all that stuff, and I get to do whatever scope of work I want. I can put the price on it.
Challenge yourself.
So, I just have to remind myself that this actually is what I wanted. I don't, so if anyone out there is thinking about, being an entrepreneur or starting their own business, definitely don't wait too long, because I don't think that you're ever going to be actually ready. I think it's like having a child. We'll wait.
Nobody's ever ready.
Yeah. My friend Nick actually has a really good saying. He said, you just got to throw yourselves to the wolves. That's the best way to learn. And, yep, I definitely agree with that. But yeah, it does take a lot of courage, especially if you have a job with pension and benefits.
That's a hard pill to walk away from, man.
It's tough. And I've accepted that, maybe I won't retire. But that's fine. I'll just get a wood shop. We'll be all right.
That's going to be your retirement.
I'll just take my my multivitamins until then.
Scott, you got me way ahead, but I wanted to hear all of it because I know some of it, but I don't know all of it. And obviously the listeners don't know most of it. But it's a lot of respect out you for making that decision. And it's got nothing to do with the unions. I don't have any negativity towards any of that stuff. It's just certain tradespeople they're built a certain way. Some are designed for that scope of work, that lifestyle, which is great, and they're happy and they enjoy it. Others they want to go down this other road, which is a much more challenging route, man. I'm
glad I was there. I did farm work for maybe 2 years, and it's very important, that kind of work. So I'm glad that I did it, but definitely not to stay there.
I got to give everybody the deets here, man. So it's www.sauvecreates.com. Sauve.
Sauve Creates.
SauveCreates.com, and it's Scott at SauveCreates.com. And I just wanted to give a shout out. I just realized, so I'm always wearing a different tee of anybody that I know that has reached out or send me. I got stacks and stacks of tees. And today I'm wearing Upward Doors tee, garage doors and everything like that. I also want to just thank you for the tee. But I also want to do a little shout out. I don't know if you heard a recent show where, for whatever reason, I think I was talking to Derek about Schluter, and we were trying to figure out where Schluter was made, and we didn't know exactly where it was made. And then Simon and Pat got back to me, and then they started sending me some text messages, and they were kind enough to remind me that Schluter Dietrich is made in Plattsburgh, Jersey, and then Curdy is made in Beamsville here in Ontario.
Oh, wow.
And then I was kind enough to basically tell them, kiss my ass. I don't need to know this information. You guys need to know this information. I just take your products and I make magic with it. That's what I do. Okay. So they were just a little upset that I didn't know this stuff. So once again, Simon and Pat, you can kiss my ass. All right. But there's a cheek for either one of you guys. Okay. So I just wanted to also let everybody know that we've got a lot of interesting guests coming up. Lots of interesting, like we got all kinds of architects, engineers, designers are coming on, kitchen fabricators, all kinds of tradespeople. And I love having new guests in here and just getting to meet them for the first time and talk to them. So everyone just pay attention that there's a lot of shows coming. And if you want to come on the show, also info@theconstructionlife.com. And if you want to send me a tee, it's always an extra large. That's all it would be. And I'll throw this shirt on and I'll wear it and you'll see it on the show. That's it. So let's get back to you, Scott. I want to talk a lot about you and what's going on. And what's been the biggest challenge in the first year? When you made that first decision and you were still having that person talking to you saying, was this right?
Actually, once I did it, so I made the leap in July. I was so busy, I didn't even really think about anything. It was work. I had all these jobs lined up. I actually had started dating too in June, and I warned her on our first meet. We went for a walk, and I said, I just started my own business. It's gonna be bad. Like, I'm going to be working like 90 hours a week. She's like, that's, I admire that. That's fine. I respect that. Well, my first year there, I was working almost every single weekend, every evening. I was so busy in the second half of 2020 that I didn't really have any problems because I was so busy. What happened was that December turned into January, and it was my first winter. And things really, really slowed down. I think maybe it was March. I don't even think I worked.
So 2019?
2021.
2021.
Yeah, so my first winter, I went a month where there was no work at all. And, I had a little bit of savings.
No emails, no nothing? Like, nobody was reaching out?
I might have had a couple emails, but I remember I think I made $0. I had some saved, but
how did that feel?
I was like, well, I was prepared for it, and I knew that's the greatest fear when you start your own business is, there might not be work. Now, thankfully, I don't have any children, so not yet. So that was helpful in that situation. It was tough. Like I said, I went for a lot of drives. Like, just to clear my head, I'd go and get a coffee and put some music on, go for an hour drive in the country or whatever. And then every time I get back and I'm like, just keep doing it. Just keep trying. Like, you can't give up. So
were you telling that stuff, those words, were you telling those words to you before getting to the job, during the job, after the job, like your work day? Where was the focus of attention on that don't give up and just keep on moving forward?
I think that it only happened when I would start panicking about being slow, because if I was working, then I wouldn't be thinking about that stuff. Because
you're focused on the
slow. I would, and flow state. People talk about flow state. It's so easy. I feel like now this might just be for me, but since I started my own business and work for myself, I don't look at the time. Flow state, almost every minute I'm working. Maybe that's not an actual like scientific flow state, but I'm not worried about the world. I'm not worried about time. I'm there. I'm right in there.
Yeah.
So the only time that I would have that, I guess you could say, self-doubt would be the nights where I didn't have any work lined up. But I didn't want to get desperate. There's nothing wrong with Kijiji. That's where I started my side stuff. But I told myself I'm not going out there. I'm not doing the cash job. That's why I started my own business, because I wanted to advertise Sauve Construction. You know, I wanted to charge HST. I don't know if that's anything or anyone's ever said that before. I wanted to be able to promote my business, whereas, you know, doing those cash jobs and stuff, I could never promote myself. So I was like, I'm going to stay away from those people. I tried to do word of mouth, but because I was starting my business, I was so new, I didn't have that much.
You didn't have that network at that point.
Yeah, but when I was really slow, I just told myself, you know, and again, I don't want to say that there's not great workers on Kijiji. I just told myself when times got really hard, just trust the process. Don't get desperate. Don't sell any tools. You know, that was hard too, because I've got about $30,000 in tools. I just told myself, just trust the process. But I'm extremely stubborn. Like, it's really suffering. It helped me survive.
It helped you get through it.
Yes.
So when you had the first batch of emails come in, were you still bidding on that work, or they were basically just saying, no, Scott, we want to hire you. We're ready for you.
Like in the slow times?
Yeah. Like were they coming in, or did you start to tender?
There wasn't that many emails coming in, but there was a lot of, we're just want to see. So this is where the experience helps with the tire kickers. I had a lot of that going on. They were just trying to see. So I was looking at a lot of jobs, but not getting hired, and a lot of them were decks. So for the spring. I don't specialize in anything like specifically. So there was a lot of decks and just a lot of jobs that it just didn't fabricate into getting work. It was a really crappy winter. But in that time, I obviously did price some jobs out for the summer. And then, so all of my jobs last summer were jobs that I landed during that slow time. So I guess I can't say that it was a full zero, a full loss in that winter time, because the jobs that I worked in the summertime were actually ones that I priced out in the winter time.
You already started planning.
Yeah, but so from what I'm learning is the jobs that you're doing in January and February, March, you're actually pricing those out in the fall or summer.
Yeah,
so
September, almost 6 months out, right?
Yeah. Again, though, that was my first, really, that was me going into my first winter. I'd only been in business for 6 months, and I didn't want to use any pictures or anything from previous jobs. Because I got into this is probably a separate conversation, but I got into the trade in 2007. But I didn't want to use any pictures at all, because it wasn't my work. It was, the group's work.
Which is respectful. I mean,
Yeah.
A lot of people don't do that.
And this is another thing that I really struggle with is having too much pride for those slow times. I said, you're going to suffer. Instead of being like, hey, I'm a little slow to my friends. Do you mind if I work for you?
I've done the same thing, man. Like when it's got a quiet period, I'll start reaching out to friends that have been bugging me for years and years, going, "Can you do this? Can you do this?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm ready to do it now." Yeah, and they're actually very happy to take me on, and then all of a sudden I get past that hump.
Yeah, I just being too proud isn't a good thing in those situations, and I was, and every time that I mentioned that I wasn't working, they would get upset with me and be like, why didn't you call me? And I'm like, I'm just proud. I want to do it on my own. I want to do it on my own.
I think I did it because they knew I set the parameters. I told them, I go, listen, let me play a little bit. I get an opportunity to try something new, give it to you at an incredible discount. And then I'm busy, time goes by, and I get to the next project. Right. So it was kind of like, it worked. It worked out really well. I wanted to ask you, that March month, that was the worst?
Yes, that was the worst so far, yeah.
Did you turn to anybody that you spoke to at the very beginning and go back to them and go, I'm having this really, really bad month, man?
I stayed silent, and I was like, you're gonna suffer.
Honestly, Scott, I think it was a good thing that you did that, man. I think you have to suffer in silence and just figure out, let that moment come to you.
I don't know if I would recommend, if that would be my advice to do what I did. But again, I had some savings from all that work in the summertime. Again, I looked up to Elon Musk a lot, his work ethic, and I'm just like, if he can do it, I can too. You know, sleeping on the couch and coding 22 hours a day or whatever he did.
And getting that deal that basically
Yeah.
allowed him to survive on literally on the 11th hour, which was absolutely, I saw the documentary and I was just like, this is insane. That's stress beyond stress, man.
Yeah, he has a quote. It's starting a business is like chewing glass and walking into the abyss. And I'm like, yep. But again, I'm a very stubborn person. I'm trying to get better at it. Stubborn and very proud.
But stubborn to build your brand and build your business.
Yes.
But not stubborn that you're not willing to work with individuals and work with them.
Yeah, I was just trying to grow my brand, and I was just, at the time, I'm like, I have to do it on my own. I have to do it on my own. And now I realize that, you know, those people that offered, they want to work with me. I thought that it might look bad on me that I'm, you know, doing subcontract work.
Oh.
But because I'd only do the subcontract work for my friends. It's so fun working with them. But it's just getting over that, being too proud and being stubborn. But the stubborn is good for the quality though.
Yeah, 100%.
That's where I don't want to lose it.
No, it's totally true, man. I want to share a little bit of history here, Scott. Hardest woods in the world. Is this the right one? This is the right one for this one. Yeah. Sorry. Here's some hardwoods in the world based on the hardness of strength of the wood, pounds per force. Willow leaf red cabracho. Is that what it is? Okay. 4,570 pounds of force on that wood. It's a hardwood tree native to Argentina and Paraguay and can be up to 24 meters tall, 79 feet. It's insane. I haven't even come across any of that wood. Second one is broa, which is 4,800 pounds. Flowering plant, native to Brazil, member of the cashew family. I love cashews. And then the third one is Australian bull oak. Bull oak? 5,060 pounds. Actually, that's the number one. All right, it's an ironwood tree and native to eastern and southern Australia, the hardest wood in the world.
Wow, ironwood.
Ironwood.
I did not think it was that hard.
5,000 pounds of force, man. It's, what would you like? No regrets, right? You can't have any.
Oh no.
Whatsoever.
No regrets.
There's no time for it.
No, there isn't, and that's why I had such a good job. Like, I don't regret anything. No,
you can't.
No, I should have done it sooner. I started to get the sparkle in my eye around, I would say 22 years old, and I'm gonna be honest. What got me into it was Homes on Homes. It's just the truth. That's
got nothing against that.
No. That's what got me into it. Yeah.
So you were watching it at that age?
Yeah. So I would have been 22 years old. And then it slowly started. I bought my first Makita, how you say it, circular saw, and I got some Fat Max levels. I still have them. I still have the saw, and I was primarily a framer. I framed houses for about 8.5 years straight, just framing houses.
So I mean, framing houses, Makita, yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, the best saw, like, and it's the old ones. Like, I think they might have had a switch for the light on the top of the handle. I don't remember. They might have been the newer old ones, but
okay, I got it. Yeah. So everything else is outfitted with Makita?
Right now, like currently, oh no, I'm the Rainbow.
Oh really? Yeah?
You're gonna be upset with me. The only thing I don't have is Bosch. I got the
There's
laser.
No reason, man. It's whatever works for you.
I got
we
the laser.
joke about tools all the time, man.
Yeah.
So what do you got a mixed match of things?
Well, if you walked into my trailer, you'd say Holy Red, but that's primarily because of the pack outs.
Oh, I got pack outs.
And then the 17,000 Milwaukee batteries I have, and most of it is Milwaukee. And it's funny because I say I don't like DeWalt. I make fun of DeWalt people. And then I got the DeWalt 12-inch miter saw. I got the
battery.
No, I had a battery-powered Milwaukee when it first came out, the 10-inch.
Yeah.
Back when it first came out in like 2016. But I bought a Festool dust extractor, and I was annoyed because every time I hit the trigger, I'd have to turn this is first world problems right here. So because it was cordless, I'd turn it on and then I'd have to turn my vacuum on. So I told myself, I'm going to get the power.
Which is so convenient.
Yeah. And I actually was going to buy the Bosch. I think was it called Axial Glide, the 12-inch?
Yeah, I have the 10-inch.
Well, I was going to buy it. I was like 5 minutes from purchasing it. And then my friends are like, that thing's going to get destroyed bouncing around in your trailer. The DeWalt is, it's so tough.
I'd agree with you on that. I think you can beat the crap out of the DeWalt one and it's still going to give you a pretty good cut.
Yeah. So I have the DeWalt 12-inch saw corded. I have a DeWalt, the big table saw. I have the DeWalt power inverter, which is amazing. I was gonna either buy the Honda inverter, the red generators, or that. And I'm like, well, if I buy this, then I don't have to deal with any fuel. And it runs my table saw, my track saw. It runs everything. The only thing.
What do you got track saw wise? Makita?
I have a Makita. Yeah, I got most of my woodworking stuff is Makita. Majority though is Milwaukee. But I have everything. Like I actually have everything except Bosch and I guess Metabo. They're really pushing it these days.
Metabo?
Yeah, but I mean I've already got everything. I'm not really interested in buying like 13 of the same impact driver.
Can I ask you, have you, because I've got my own opinion, have you spent a lot of money on new tools this year?
I haven't. I bought nothing but blades.
Accessories, strictly accessories.
Only accessories now.
You're not the only one. There's a lot of trades that are not buying a lot of tools.
But I've been accumulating all these tools since I started the side jobs when I was 22. Actually, when I started my business in 2020, I started getting better. Like I'm like everyone else, I had a few rigid tools and then, upgrade to the Milwaukee.
Yeah.
I started like getting the brushless versions. But yeah, the first time I've ever been inside of Atlas and Saga tools today. And I'm like, this feels so weird because I don't need anything. It felt good, but then I got angry because I'm like, there's nothing I can buy.
Well,
so,
were you close on? I should maybe no, I don't need it. I could.
No, it was, I just don't need it. I don't need it.
it.
Yeah. The only thing that I want is the Stabila 180L, which is the layout laser for squaring up. Other than that, I don't need anything except blades. So I got blades, but yeah, that's a good feeling.
Are you finding that you're maintaining more instead of wanting to buy more?
Oh yeah. I think that's just with maturing. Like,
I think the 20-year-olds, man, they just love buying new tools and they won't maintain it as much. And I don't even think most of the 20-year-olds are sharpening all their blades.
I haven't, and I'm gonna try it. I don't know if it's just Windex works. I heard Windex works. You just spray Windex on the blade to clean it. Sorry.
Oh, to clean it?
I guess cleaning it makes a huge difference. I've never even tried.
Well, because you get a lot of gum and sap and all kinds.
I've never even cleaned a blade.
I was still impressed with, was it Gary? I think Gary mentioned about the oscillating blades that you can get them sharpened again.
Yeah, I've heard mixed
I haven't done it yet. He
mixed
does
reviews with doing that.
Because I guess there's only so much you can sharpen it before it just becomes a beaver.
It's just, we're so spoiled now with tools and blades. Like I thought that I had, I was using the Diablo blades for mostly all my blades. And then my friend Nigel's like, you should be using this blade, and he throws it down. It's a CMT Orange Tools. Yep. It's got like counterbalance things in it. And I'm like, what,
Tony the Timber Taylor.
The $100 blade wasn't good enough. Now I'm using an inferior blade. It's just, when is it going to stop? I got a Bluetooth planer. Like, I don't even know what that means.
What do you mean a Bluetooth planer?
It's got the chip in it so that when you turn the handle, if you're hooked up to your dust extractor,
it'll read it?
It'll turn the vacuum on to collect your chips. But it's only a $99 chip you got to put in it.
Makita?
Yeah, it's Makita.
That's their technology?
Yeah.
Milwaukee's never really took off, their technology. I know Bosch's never did. Their One Stop or whatever it was. What was it called? I can't remember what it's called.
I'm not sure. I follow someone on YouTube, and it's like he's into the truck scene. Anyways, that doesn't matter. But he has his own construction company, and he said, DeWalt's usually the first one to come out with something, and then he said Milwaukee's usually they're the next, and it's usually pretty good.
It's like a neck and neck every time with DeWalt and Makita all the time, and then
Makita's.
or sorry, DeWalt
Yeah.
and Milwaukee all the time.
Yeah.
And then Makita's just on the sidelines going, "You're gonna either buy us or not."
Have you ever looked at their actual catalog?
Oh, it's
It is
insane.
ridiculous.
It's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I think they actually have a mechanical catalog. It's just
crazy.
like they'll design anything.
And it actually, I would say from like whenever Milwaukee came out with the red lithium batteries, Makita pretty much from where I live, which is Kingston, Ontario, Makita just like disintegrated. No one used them. Milwaukee just took over probably until like recently, till like 2017 or something like that. And now it's like all brands have a lot of good stuff. Because I was upset because I was Makita everything. Like I used to look at the catalog on my break, and I'm like, man, you guys see the new concrete vibrator?
Get that.
Yeah. But now it's just crazy. There's so much.
It's just a tool that works for you, and you've got a scope of work, and you got a detail that needs to be done, and you know that this will take care of it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter that not your whole truck is in teal.
But I think you just learn that through maturing.
Experience.
Now I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still haven't done the Festool thing. We probably shouldn't even talk about Festool.
No, we could talk. I mean, I've got a Festool Planex. I love it. I use it
yeah.
all the time. I use it probably just as many times to clean up plywood before I'm putting down finished flooring. I use it on a 36 grit. I love it. I go to Tony and I'll grab a pack of 36 grit and I use it there. I've used it on stucco, removing that. I mean, their vacuums are amazing. I don't need the brand new ones with all the lights and the bells and the whistles, the Fast and the Furious version that they have.
Yeah. I got the extractor. It is amazing.
Yeah, it's like they're good stuff. I'm not a fan of their miter. I'm not a fan of their stand. I think Milwaukee needs to create a proper table saw.
Yeah.
I don't think if they'll ever do it. But I don't know if
they don't really.
I don't know if a DeWalt or a Makita or a Bosch person is going to actually say, okay, I'll get that Milwaukee table saw. I don't think that'll ever happen.
True.
Right. So I think that's you choose one. I know people are. I love my table saw. Right. It's Bosch. I love it. I work it. The DeWalt one's okay. I've never tried the Makita one. I know that Gary and other guys live by the saw stop ones, the workshop ones.
The Makita is just not. I don't see it anywhere like where I live. Like it's slowly actually. Home Depot's getting a little bit better, but like the Makita is just not really there. Now Lowe's they've got a lot of the Metabo stuff. I just seen they like redid their stores. Locally where I live, and it's like green everywhere. They've got Flex. Flex is pretty huge right now.
But Flex is I'm trying to remember who. It's somebody else, man.
I'm not sure. I was a little bit upset that Makita went away for a little bit, and now it seems like
Makita doesn't want to play. They just don't want. They don't care about that game.
Yeah,
they really just do not care. They leave it up to Milwaukee and DeWalt to duke it out. And which is exactly what they do. They duke it out, right? So I'm just assuming union carpenters will mostly be yellow.
Oh, union. So it's Hilti.
Commercial.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, there you go, Carlito.
I know. That's exactly what it is, right?
Yeah, it's Hilti pretty much. And a little bit of DeWalt, but it was mostly Hilti, and it was pretty sweet actually using Hilti in real life because I never seen it before on the job site. And then it's like my first day in the Carpenters Union, I was using all the Hilti stuff.
That's big, man.
Yeah, it's nice.
So that was also hard to walk away from.
That's all right. I made up for it. I got it all.
No, you got all Makita and everything.
Yeah,
and
I got
built
everything.
it from there, man.
Yeah.
So you're not working in the beginning? You were working all by yourself.
I still am.
You still are, really?
Yeah, I'm solo. Yeah.
And you're not subbing out anything. You're still taking care of all of it yourself.
Yes, but I pretty much only stick to the carpentry right now. I've yet to do a job where I bring on electricians and plumbers. I've been staying small, but that's not gonna stay that way forever because now I don't want to grow my business. I don't want to. I do want to grow my business, but I don't want to scale it to the point where I'm just driving around in the truck with the fancy shoes. So I'm starting out super small, and then work my way up. And I'm definitely at the point now where we can start doing some bigger jobs, bringing some more trades in. But going small, it really limits me. Like, I mean, what's the biggest beam I can lift? You know what I mean? For like doing a covered deck or something like that. You know what I mean?
See, my first year I was all by myself, and I just got so tired of talking to myself. I wanted to have conversations with other people other than the clients.
Yeah.
So then I started expanding, and I'm like, okay, I need to hire this, I need to hire that, and then you had more people, and all of a sudden, you slowly get off the tools, but that's eventually what's going to happen to you, right?
Yeah.
You have to face that. Not necessarily grow to the point where it's like you're a huge franchise now. And then, yeah, you definitely don't want to be the person who just doesn't get dirty at all. You still want to show up on the site.
And there's nothing wrong with doing that. That's like more of a business thing. Maybe I suck at business, but I just want to keep the belt on for as long as possible. But I'm sure most carpenters are like that.
They're exactly like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're still young. I want to ask you a personal question. Is the girlfriend still around?
Yeah, she is.
So she saw the 90-hour weeks, or?
Yeah, she's still here.
Good.
It's been tough. Like, that's why, like, the sacrifice has been spent lots of weekends screwing down deck boards, you know, and we're really into nature and hiking, and, you know, she'll go canoeing by herself, or she'll sleep out in the woods in her hammock by herself, and I'm out there, like, literally cutting deck boards and just working on the weekend. So that's really tough. It's tough mentally to be like, why am I working right now? But you have to sacrifice. Like, you have to sacrifice in order to have your own business and be successful.
It's a balance, Scott. I think it's like, you don't sacrifice too much that you forget to build your relationship. You build your personal.
Yeah.
Like, you don't throw that away as well too, right? Like, as much as you love construction, you got to still love what's going on outside of construction.
Balance it's the biggest battle.
Yeah.
I've always been like 110 or 0, you know.
It's unfortunate. I mean, this has been an interesting year because I get a lot of people reaching out to me, and there's been a lot of people that have gone through divorces, separations. And I mean, it's also obviously pandemic related or what have you. But there's been a lot of that going on, and I guess people just saw different sides of their relationships, and they just didn't realize.
I cannot believe that she stuck it out this long, because there's been some, like, I've went on stretches where I worked for 3 weeks straight, like minimal, like we don't live together either. So that's super hard. Like, sometimes I just wouldn't text at all during the daytime. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard on.
That's vicious, Scott. You can't do that, man. I'm not a couples therapist,
I'm
man.
getting better. I'm getting better.
That's just a simple text, man. A simple text or something, right?
Flow state, man.
No, it's good that you guys, well, you gave her the heads up, and she totally respected it, and she understands it, right?
Yeah, but I can't use that as an excuse all the time.
And you shouldn't.
No,
you got to come up with new ones.
Yeah, balance though. It's like, I never even believed in it until in the last year.
Are you seeing that? Are you visualizing that balance now?
Yeah. Well, I don't work weekends anymore. I don't work evenings. I completely stopped that in like recent, like probably July of this year. And every weekend now we go out in nature, crown land.
Awesome.
Yeah. Don't mess with the phone really. But with that being said, so this summer I took the weekends off out in nature. Then my business started, like my correspondence suffered, because I'd get back on Sunday and I'm like, I don't really feel like, you know, doing that estimate. So again, it's balance. You know, I went from working too much, not having enough personal time, to taking the personal time and then saying, you know, I deserve a rest. I deserve to go out in nature and, you know, disconnect.
Did any clients hint?
So I've been pretty lucky. I'm usually would come into an email and say, I'm so sorry about the delay, all this stuff. But it's like, I'm sick of saying I'm sorry. You know, I feel bad so I feel bad. Sometimes it could go 3 weeks without me getting back to someone. And it's like, that's just honest. And it's heavy on me. Because
but you know.
I'm trying to work on this, and I neglect my business. So again, it's balance.
It's a huge balance, man.
It's balance.
It's like, yeah, you got to figure out.
That's my hardest thing with my business, is my correspondence. Like, I'll get tired and I'm like, I'll do it in the morning, and then the morning comes and I'm like, yeah.
You don't want to let somebody else help you with that? You're not ready for that?
I don't know. Like, how are they supposed to know how that I'm going to?
Just in betweens, like they'll follow up and they'll, you know, he's currently really busy working on this. We're just touching base, saying hello. Just as long as there's a line of communication.
Yeah, my girlfriend's offered about 1,000 times. Let me do it. I'm like, no, I'm too proud. I'll do it myself.
I'm just gonna say, take her up on it, man. That's like, trust me, it's it'll benefit you.
yeah, I've sacrificed so much to have this brand, this reputation, and it's like I don't want to lose it. You know what I mean? Like, especially I feel like you should be getting back to the clients in 7 days. I think that's reasonable time. I mean, like some jobs, obviously that's way too soon, but that's it's just been the balance has been what I've been trying to work on this year, 2022. Still got a lot to go, but
No, it's every day. It's construction, man. So what are your? I figured that the wheels are spinning, and you're wondering what's going to happen for next year, and you're hoping that March is not going to get worse than previous March.
To be honest with you, I haven't really thought about next March.
No.
No, I haven't thought about it. We'll get there, and I'm sure everything will be okay. You know, more belief.
That's all it is, eh?
That's all I need. You know, shoulders up, and just it'll be all right. We'll do it.
Winter's coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
It's always fun.
Yeah, I like it.
Clients and everybody trades wise, they're all trying to get as much done they can get done before. Then we get into that month of January, and we get those little warm spells. We get some sunny days. They're cold but sunny.
Yeah.
And then we get that really bitterness in February, and then things start to turn in March. It goes by fast. We're so used to it.
I don't like March.
No, I know March is not my favorite.
It's
either,
always
man.
been the toughest, even in the Carpenters Union.
Really? Huh?
Yeah, I remember I'd worry about Christmas, and my partner is what you call him. He'd be like, "Ha, wait till March," and he laughed and walked away. I'm like, "What's that supposed to mean?" And then March. But hey, I mean, what am I going to keep crying about it? You know, I can't wait till next March. That's the way I'm looking at it now. I can't wait. It's going to be good.
10 years from now, Scott, how do you see it?
10 years from now.
So you'll be 45.
45.
10 years on your own. You finally found a balance. Probably family.
Yeah, family.
Right?
Family.
Big steps
Probably should have
ahead.
thought about that before I came here.
No, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I mean, like, to tell you the truth, man, the next 10 years are going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
Right?
It'd be nice to mentor someone. I definitely know that I'd like to have someone.
There's lots of kids out there, man, in their 20s that want to speak to people like you.
Yeah.
Right? They're probably even listening right now because they're probably in the same boat, same step. They're thinking, should I, shouldn't I?
Oh, do it. It's tough though. That's what I wanted to say. You have to do it. You have to do it. I don't think you're ever going to be ready. But there is going to be some suffering in there. And that sounds pretty gloomy, but
that's where you learn.
Yeah.
That's what makes you better.
I never changed. My qualities never changed. It didn't matter if I didn't sleep, if I wasn't working, if it was my first job in a month, if it was late, if I was financially struggling, my work never changed, my quality.
Your mentality, the way you went in.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I've had bad jobs that have gone really bad, and I still went and finished it. I didn't cut the corner. I didn't say, okay, I don't like you. I don't like how you're treating me. I still finished it. I still finished it the way I said I was going to finish it because I that's me. That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So in 3 years, I guess, is there a particular favorite job that just stands out for you?
That I have had. Actually, it was I did a cabana last summer, which was pretty cool. I did everything. Well, obviously I did everything, but it was just cool designing it, changing the design. It was a really weird shape. Like the backyard, just the way it was a really, really weird shape. Had
Was
a weird
it a square, rectangle, octagon?
It was I don't know what it was. It was a bit of everything geometry wise.
Okay.
And it was just such a challenge to get it into that space. And I designed it in SketchUp, which is awesome.
Lots of guys use it. I love SketchUp.
And then I got there and I'm like, this is a lot more difficult than I thought. But I just trusted in my skills. I'm like, whatever, I'll figure it out. And it turns out that figuring out really didn't take me that much time. Like I was stressed out about the beams. They got these weird, like 60 degree cuts on them and stuff for the roof beams. What is the angle? What if I can't cut it with my saw? It was easy. I just did it because I believed that I would come to the conclusion. You know, I just had self-belief in that, and the job honestly went perfect, except I had to hand dig 18 piers.
Why? Couldn't get
Access.
machinery couldn't get in there?
Yeah. But it was just cool.
How big is this cabana that you had to do 18 piers?
Well, it was because I did flush beam. I did like 2x6 joists because they wanted it super low to the ground. They wanted it one step.
Okay.
So I did flush beam. Because I used 2x6, I can only span like 6 feet.
Yeah.
So there was lots of little piers in there. I don't know if I think I used 10-inch piers and 12-inch piers for it. But there was a lot of piers just because I was using a 2x6 as a joist, so I couldn't span them.
Just to keep it tight to
But that was one of those jobs where it was my first job that had that much correspondence and redesigning and looking at the pictures of the backyard for months. This was one of those jobs that came in when I was slow, and it was for the spring, summer. I looked at the backyard so much. I redesigned it so many times. We changed the project, for that also was when the COVID material was real. It was like $118 a sheet for my pressure treated. So that would have been like April, May 2021. They were crazy. So it's constantly like changing the design to work with their budget. But I really liked that job because once I stepped on site, I mean, it was perfect. Like when I walked away, when it was finally done, I'm like, wow, this is why I stepped away from the job that I had. It was amazing. And, I'm not so active on Instagram anymore, but that one was crazy because it's by the pool and stuff. People really like seeing photos like that. Just the likes, like I guess as the dopamine hit was crazy. Like every time I opened my phone, it was like Micro Pro Sienna. They've shared a lot of my projects. That one they've featured a couple times. But it was cool. It had a bar inside of it, and it's just super custom. That's why I liked it the most. That would probably be my favorite.
Where did it begin? The clients gave you just a sketch, like a rough idea of what
they did. The usual Pinterest photos. Okay. And I'm like, okay, none of those are structurally sound. And they obviously aren't carpenters or engineers or anything, and they wanted it open, and I'm like, you have to put a beam there. And she's like, oh, like, can we put like windows up top? And I'm like, no, I have to put the beam, and I had knee walls on top of the 2x10 beams, and then I had to sheet it. And the sheeting was what was keeping the knee wall all locked in. That's what kept the structure locked in. And, they're like, can we put windows up there? And I'm like, listen, I know the ones on Pinterest look good, but trust me, I'm a carpenter. I know my structure. We have to build it like this. I don't, maybe it's ugly to you, but number one is it has to be structurally sound.
Structurally safe and sound.
There was a windstorm in December that blew through that was like, I could be wrong, but like 90 kilometer gusts. And that was the only project that I've built. And I was like, cause I follow RR Buildings. He builds these huge post frames. And I know that he talked about leaving the job site and you'd be, in bed. I think all framers do it actually when it's windy and you're like, oh, I wonder if it's still there.
What's it going to be like when I show up back?
Yeah. So during that windstorm, I'm like, thank God I just made sure that thing was structurally sound. I went absolutely insane on my Simpson hardware. I did hurricane ties. I did everything. The clients were like, well, it's kind of ugly. I don't really like those things. And I'm like,
stronger than your house right now.
Yeah. So, no, it turned out really good. And, then so far it's going to happen. No callbacks on any job I've ever done. I know they're going to come, especially when I get into the more exterior jobs. I know they're coming, but,
so they're just bigger and better after that.
Yeah.
What did you clad that one with?
I actually cladded it with, fence boards.
Really?
Yeah. Just, pressure treated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. No, it looked really good. And I actually averted a huge crisis on that one, because I did aluminum soffit and fascia, black.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, thankfully, my friend Nigel, who owns his own custom home building company.
Chemical?
His name's Nigel Greenham.
Yeah.
He's local to me. He said, hey, man, don't put that aluminum against that pressure treated. And I had no idea. He's like, you got to wrap it with a Tyvek or you got to sheet it with a 1/4-inch plywood because it will react with it.
Yep.
And I didn't even think about it because I think he might have wrapped a post once with flashing, and then it it reacts. The copper reacts.
Yeah.
So before that, I wrapped everything in Tyvek. It looked terrible. But then, so that's how I got around that, the pressure treated and the aluminum. It worked out, but I hope that I hope everyone knows that you can't just put soffit and fascia.
Well, there's a lot. I mean, there's certain trades that are very familiar with what is or what isn't.
Yeah.
And that's where you go back to class, high school, and learn the basics. But there is some reaction, right?
Yeah, I never even thought about that one.
I love that roofers taught me. There's a reason why every course of cedar shakes on a roof has a run of copper on it. And it's to prevent from any of the moss and any kind of plant material growing on the cedar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that copper will prevent that.
Did not
from
know
happening.
that.
Yeah, so that's why sometimes you'll see these really beautiful cedar shake roofs, and there's like these strips, and the valleys are always copper, and then there's strips at one. I think it's like every 6 or 7 courses.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so it's more expensive, but then it kind of keeps that cedar a lot longer.
Yeah, didn't know that. The only thing with that cabana was it was all pressure treated, open. They wanted to see, it's not timber frame, but they wanted to see the exposed rafters, which meant I'm like, oh, it's pressure treated. That's not that pretty to look at. And I originally planned on doing like a tongue and groove or a shiplap ceiling and painting it, but they wanted to see the rafters. And then I'm like, you're going to see the stamps on the underneath of the sheeting.
Yeah.
Which didn't look that great. So next time I do a cabana, I'll probably just be like, it's going to get either, I guess we could do cedar or maybe a hemlock. Like, I don't want to do that again with the exposed pressure treated, seeing the stamps and all that stuff.
Yeah, normally you would just put the T and G on it first, and then put the sheathing, and then put whatever roofing material you want to put on top of that. Did she ask you to paint the hurricane ties black?
No, but I was ready for it.
I would have painted them black.
I was ready for it.
I know.
I'll get her on the next one.
No, because it would look pretty sharp if it's all everything's exposed there, and then you got the hangers, you got the hurricane ties, just paint them black. But
as soon as I did the sheeting, I hopped down and looked up, and I'm like, those stamps are going to be a problem, but they weren't.
Yeah, okay, that's good, man. A little bit of OBC talk. You ready for some OBC talk?
Always.
Insulation. All walls, ceilings, and floors separating heated space from unheated space. The exterior air or the exterior soil must have thermal insulation. Is that right? All wall ceilings. Yeah, so basically you have to have insulation in all those cavities there.
Yeah.
Separate, yeah. Insulation is contact with the ground, shall be inert to the action of the soil and water so that its properties are not reduced by moisture. So insulation underneath concrete when you're building the bottom of a cabana. Insulation must be installed reasonably uniform. That's right. We don't smash it in and just crush it. You have to leave it all fluffy over the entire face of the installation area. Insulation must be applied to the full width of the length of the space between. That's right. You got to cut it nice and snug. If insulation is exposed to the weather, it must be protected by 6 mil poly. We know that. Asbestos cement board. We know that. 6 mil preservative treated plywood. Yes. 12 mil cement parging or wire lath. Yeah. Insulation and vapor barrier must otherwise be protected by a covering such as gypsum board, fire rating. Yeah, so plywood's not fire rated though. Particle, OSB, wafer, or hardboard. I guess no, there's lots of rules that are different because if it's insulation, which is just bat, you could put all those materials on there. But if it's spray foam, you have to have a minimum gypsum has to be there. You can't use plywood because it goes against the OBC at that point. Unfinished basements, mineral fiber insulation does not require protection if it is covered by it. Yeah, so they have that roll-out pack. That's it, man. Where do you want to go from here, Scott?
Where do we want to go from here?
You're driving GMC.
I'm driving. Well, GM, yeah.
Yeah, GM.
Silverado.
What, they don't say GMC anymore? No, they don't? No?
No, it's a Silverado. It's a Chevy.
So it's a Chevy. That's why they say GM. So
it's fine.
Technically, it's a Chevy.
I'm not gonna like fight anyone over that, but I definitely told them at the dealership, it's bow tie or nothing.
Okay.
And I know that they're the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a mandatory. That's it. It had to be.
Yeah, it's just my dad had a Chevy growing up, and then I'm just like, I'll die driving a Chevy or electric one probably, but.
Are they even working on one?
I would imagine.
GM hasn't made any noise whatsoever.
Truck.
They haven't even come out with a van. They're still driving around with their. Do they still make the Savannah vans? No.
Yeah, I think they're called Express now.
Express.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so.
I joke with Carlito. I call it a Safari. Remember those little minivans from the 80s?
Yeah, when I used to frame houses, that was one of our work vans.
Hey, when I got started in the industry, I was driving around a Honda Element, man.
Oh yeah,
because of my dogs, right? It's just, it was great for dogs. It was crappy for construction, but it was great for dogs. But that's what I was driving around. I had stone in there. Like I had 8-foot long limestone sill stones in there. I built a little platform because it wasn't smooth and I didn't want it to crack. I had all kinds of hardwood flooring in there. It was very transformable. It was butt ass ugly though. It 4-cylinder crappy. But yeah, that's where I got started.
Yeah, my boss had it was a Safari and an Astro, which I think
is
the Chevy.
The Astro.
Oh,
yes,
I used to bounce all over the place. It's just embarrassing. At the time, I'm like, these things are embarrassing. But then from the business side of things, he didn't advertise or anything like that. He didn't care. He just wanted it.
It got into condos, man. It got, like, you had a 6-foot ladder. You could put it in there. Yeah. You had all your tools in there on a cart. Yeah. It worked for condo work. That's why it was very practical.
Yeah, and trucks are. I know in the GTA, there's probably a lot of vans. I know their trucks and trailers probably aren't really a thing. In the actual city, I'd imagine it'd just be a nightmare.
It's mostly vans.
Yeah.
Like whenever I was doing anything in the city there, you'd have everybody roll it up at vans. Maybe one person with a trailer.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And where am I going to park? You brought a trailer, man. Like, I don't really know where to park now.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I'm lucky where I live. We can do it. Yeah, I got a 14-foot trailer, though. So it's 16 from the tongue to the end. That's like my limit where I can park in front of people's homes, in front of the grass or whatever.
Yeah.
Any bigger is a problem. And I want a bigger one. I want like an 8x18. But you ask anyone with one of those, you can't park it anywhere.
Can't fit it anywhere.
No, because I can still fit inside like 2 spaces, long ways, in a parking lot.
So it works for you.
Yeah. But yeah, no problems with the Chevrolet. I've had it for 4.5 years now and no problems. So that's good. I was going to say we could probably do the bone to pick.
That's actually a good one.
Yeah.
What's the latest thing that you want to discuss?
Well, there's lots, but it's so simple. My bone to pick is just the simple stuff. Like, because most of my experience comes from framing. Something that really bothered me was the nails that missed, like in the sheathing or in the headers. Like, I'll die before I walk away and there's nails flying everywhere through the sheeting and not into a stud. It's something that it's just maybe I'm OCD about, but it's something so simple. Can you not just, like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with missing, but can you pop the nail out? Especially in the headers. Like, there's nails flying everywhere. It just looks so bad.
I know. It looks Mickey Mouse, man.
It's all the small stuff, the paper flapping, paper upside down, like that stuff.
Oh, the Tyvek?
Yeah. That stuff drives me crazy.
The sales, I know. They're all pirates at that point. I get it. I don't understand it.
And just messy job site. It's just so simple, the stuff that bothers me. Flooring protection, people walking around in homes and they keep their boots on with mud on their boots, walking right up the stairs. Absolute savages.
If the day starts and you know it's raining and you're going to a job site and there's no driveway, there's no gravel, there's no nothing, you're bringing a second pair, man. You have to. And walk it up, take off the mud, and then put on a clean one and go inside.
There's savages out there. It's not a crazy story, but I was doing a house this March. And I was doing the trim, and there was a painter coming. And the flooring was already in there, and I was like obsessive about the flooring protection. The guy had ovens in there. I covered everything. The painter comes in with there's snow on his boots. Walks in, goes, "Is there any beer in the fridge?" That was his first words to me. And I'm like, I don't know, didn't look.
Interview's over.
Yeah, so he opens the fridge. He said, "No, I guess not." Keeps his boots on. He's like, "Oh, hang on, I'm just going to have a smoke." Has a smoke. Goes to his van, grabs his paint, brings the paint in, still has his boots on, sets it down on the floor, and slides the paint over the floor to the staircase because he was working upstairs. And I just stared at him in shock. Like, I think my mouth might have been open.
Wow.
And I was just like, this guy probably won't even acknowledge anything I'm about to tell him. So I just walked away and I was like, wow.
You didn't hire him. That's not yours. It's not.
No, it was one of those cash deals, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, I did not hire him.
Did he know how to paint? Like, Was he a good painter?
He seemed like he knew. I wasn't there for the end, but I do know he had a problem when he's like, "Hey, I need all these doors off to paint. I want all the doors off."
Yeah, you have a drill. You take them off.
I'm like, I'm just doing. The homeowner had hung his own doors, and did his own casing and baseboard, and I was there to redo the casing and the baseboard. So I didn't hang the doors, and I'm like, I'm a nice person, and I feel like usually I would have taken all the doors off for him, but at this point in my life, I'm just so tired of people take advantage of me for being so kind. And I'm just like, no, I'm not taking the doors off. You can take the doors off. And he said, they're going to stay in. This was priced to spray. And then that's when I'm like, yep, here's another bone to pick right there. This was priced to spray, he says. I'm like,
price to spray.
Did you not come in here? Like,
so did you not mask everything down? Did you not put protection down before you slid everything? So I don't understand this, man.
I don't understand.
It's their responsibility. It's their scope. It doesn't fall on somebody
Absolute
else's.
Savages.
Wow.
That's my biggest thing is that's just the small stuff.
Just a lack of respect.
Yeah.
Lack of respect of what's been done already, what needs to be done. That's all it is. Everyone's just got their blinders on. They just go in, they just take care of the scope, and they get out.
It does make me feel good though, because I know the service that I provide. I did a mudroom bench for a client this summer, and she had just got a fence done and a deck right before I started, and I'm like, no, I'm sorry, but I have to look at the work. I'm like, I have to. And I was like, I don't want to talk bad on the other. Like, I already knew that it probably wasn't going to be that good. And cigarette butts everywhere.
All over the floor?
All over the grass. And she's like, yeah, I was a bit upset.
Didn't speak up? Didn't say anything?
She thought they were coming back. Cigarette butts everywhere. Tim Hortons cups. What else did they do? They left. Now this might be me being a bit too crazy. They left a bunch of sawdust in the driveway. Like, I don't know. Like,
Tim Horton cuts, but they bug me a lot because you're not sure if they finished it. Are they going to take it? And they'll just leave it. Then their day is done. They're gone. You're like, oh, I guess you guys aren't going to take it then. So now it's my responsibility.
That bothered me more than the work that they did.
So what I normally have done, and I still do it, is just if I see a cup and it's just nobody's attended it, I throw it out. I don't give a shit if it's half or full or whatever. I throw it out. If you're drinking coffee, drink coffee, man. Make it beside you like it's next to you.
It's the best when you're in a house when the tapers are there, because usually every windowsill is full of coffee cups and energy drinks. They're the worst, but I don't want to get into that.
I want to ask you, Scott, if you were to hire somebody, what are you looking for?
I guess I would have to look for someone that reminded me of myself when I was young, but they don't have to be young. I guess it's just the there's a willingness to learn, but I would be looking for someone that if they were experienced, that they were open to changing what they, if you have someone that's experienced, they're going to come in with their ways. You've heard it probably a million times. Yeah. Just someone that's open to, maybe trying out a different way. But you know what? If they had a way, I would definitely try that method out as well, though I wouldn't instantly dismiss it. I know it's my brand. This is the way that I do it. But, I would definitely be open to learning their way too. But, you would obviously, you'd have to have a pretty good talk with them to see, what they wanted. But a sit down it's not always the best thing because people can talk their game.
I agree with you. I think it's always better just to get on the job site. And I've done that, I think, every single interview. Or if I want to talk to somebody, I'll just like, listen here, come by the job site. Let's just walk through it and just have a conversation. Yeah. Then you can already assess everything from that point, right? How they walk around the job site, how they discuss things with you, how they look at the job site, if they're respectful of the job site. So you kind of just answer a bunch of questions.
It's probably pretty generic with a lot of people that answer that question. Like, they have to want to learn. But I think I would just look at them as if they were me. I probably would be able to get a good feel of their intentions because I know the way that I would show up to an interview. Yeah. But there's probably only one of me walking around, so I got to be careful with that too.
But it's going to be slightly different if it's a brand new kid right out of school. Versus,
well, that would be the best. I think
right?
That's always the best.
But if it's like you 10 years or 15 years down the line and then somebody else is in their 40s making a different move or something.
Yeah.
It's a different ball game, right?
Yeah. I think I'd have to be open though. Again, it would be my brand, but still, I just don't want to be linear. I don't want to say it's my way, or that's the end all. You know, I'd like to.
Because you want to learn too.
Exactly, and I always will be learning.
Yes.
That's why, like, when people make mistakes, I acknowledge that I make mistakes all the time too. It's just, you know, how are we gonna go from there? And I found out that not everyone handles making mistakes like I do. I own up to it very rapidly, and I think that's just being humble. I think that's being mature.
Majority of people would just try to distance themselves from it, or distance themselves from a solution.
Oh, they would get protective. They would get standoffish. They would argue. But I would just be, I guess it's trial and error too. I mean, you could probably spend 2 months interviewing people. I mean, I guess you just have to take a chance on people. I haven't had my first interview yet though, so.
But it's coming. You know that's going to happen.
Yeah.
It has to happen eventually one day, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, just prepare yourself for it.
Take a chance on someone. Give them the benefit of the doubt, but also if it don't work out, then, you know, you just got to keep going.
Don't try to make it work out if you know that it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
Right. So.
But also, if I have an employee, I want them to be their own entity. You know, I don't want them just like me. They you know, because I want it to be fun.
Bring something to the table.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah, definitely a young person would be the best.
How were you when you first got onto the union?
The union, I could say this, that I was almost scared because the job sites, I went from residential framing houses to big commercial job sites.
That's a big step.
It was totally different. I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
My first foreman said, you come from residential, take everything you know and throw it out. And take that tape measure and throw it out too. We use metric here. It was wild. But I did go to trade school. So I did know a lot of the stuff, like doing the footings and the squaring and a lot of the form work. But I didn't do it hands-on. It was just at school. And then when I got into the Carpenters Union, I'd already had quite a bit of experience, 10 years experience or something already. It was actually very hard for me to go from residential to the union because it was commercial. It's like, it is totally different. But I definitely got along with a lot of the guys because of the work ethic.
Yeah.
Which ended up leading to my me leaving the Carpenters Union because I realized that I stood out because of my work ethic. And I don't want to stereotype everyone in the Carpenters Union, but they seen like, oh, this guy can do it. Why do we have to figure it out? We know Scott's going to do it. We know that he has good work ethic. So a lot of them were like, oh, you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. And then I was getting really upset because I seen a lot of the people that I was working with, they didn't want to work hard. You know, they were
punching the clock.
They were dogging it.
Yeah.
But I was really excited when I got into the Carpenters Union. Well, it's great money, but I just wanted to do something different because I'd framed houses for so long that I wanted.
Subdivision houses?
Subdivision houses, yeah.
Okay.
And the same builder. I worked for the same builder, the same like 4 models. My foreman at the time didn't even need the plan because we were doing the same house every time.
You guys are just all yelling at each other going, which model is this?
Yeah,
all right, fine, let's go.
3608.
Yeah.
But when I got into the Carpenters Union, I was super excited because I'm like, I'm going to be doing all this crazy carpentry in the office or I don't even know what it's called anymore, where I go pay my dues. They had all these block planes and chisels and all this stuff, and I got super excited. And then every day I'd be like, when do I get to use the block plane? It was like a big joke. And then my friend said, if you wanted to do carpentry, you joined the wrong union, which was a pretty good one. But again, the union is, if that's your thing, then that's your thing. I follow someone from the States, I think California, and he's like into bridge construction.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, his name's Manny, I think, actually.
Is it?
Yeah.
There's a few.
but it's just not my thing. I'm just, I want to do my woodworking and my carpentry. But again, I'm really glad that I was in the carpentry.
Yeah, I was just about to say, you don't regret any of that time.
No,
there.
I don't, because I learned so much. I learned so much about rebar. Like, they always used to make fun. Like, I didn't know how to tie rebar. It was absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, but now there's a tool to do it.
Oh, no, I don't like it.
There's a tool to do it now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, would you tell the young guys to still go ahead and just give the high rise a shot and do that for a little while before getting into?
Yeah, I think so, because that might be their thing.
Yeah,
They
you never
might-
know.
Yeah, they might like that. It's pretty crazy because they get those Perry forms, those metal forms, they go up pretty tall. My first big job, I think they're 18-foot piers, and they're like, I had the harness where you actually like clip the lanyard to the front of it, and I'm like, oh, I've never actually seen this in real life, because you have to hang off it as you work, and I'm like, this is crazy. That stuff's exciting.
Yeah.
But they didn't let me do it though, because it's high risk.
And you're doing it each floor every time over and over.
I never got into like the suspended slabs, like I never did the floors, thankfully, because that stuff's pretty dangerous, especially when you're stripping them. It's pretty wild. But
especially in the seasonal when it gets colder.
yeah. Oh, and that was another thing. I was spending most of my time in the Carpenters Union. I was doing hoarding, like the insulated tarps. Like, I wasn't even thankful to be working. I'm like, this is not what I was meant to do. I don't want to be a tarpenter. You know,
Tarpenter.
like, I don't want to just be doing tarps.
Is that an actual term? Like, you guys were talking about it?
Yeah,
Seriously?
I heard. I didn't make it up.
No, I'm sure a tarpenter,
But
man.
again, I'm just like, I know that I'm not going to be the best carpenter by staying in the Carpenters Union. You know, I have to be doing my own thing.
Passion was elsewhere.
Yeah. And again, I'm glad. I'm thankful for everything.
How many years did you do the resi before you got into the high rise, and then how many years were you doing the high rise before you took off?
Well, I barely even got into the high rise, to be honest with you, because I only got into the Carpenters Union in 2018, and I quit in 2020.
Oh wow! Well, that's still some time.
Yeah. But I started framing houses in 2007, and I left in 2018, basically.
Oh wow!
So yeah, I spent a lot of time, but it was that you'd think I'm some kind of master framer. I literally worked for the same builder and did the same like 4 models. So it like stunted my growth. Where if I went and worked with one of my friends that does custom homes, I was like, they weren't using the same products. Like, it really stunted me.
So it'd be like a lift, crack it,
Oh,
wall.
the same numbers. Like the garage walls were the same. We'd know all the measurements, all the elevations.
And you lasted that long?
Yeah, because I never was late. I was never laid off once. I always had work. Didn't necessarily make much money, but my boss was great. I loved the guys I worked with. I showed up every day. But yeah, I'm so glad I got out of that, just because we weren't even doing our own measurements anymore. We already just knew them all. That's not good for the brain.
Would you? No, it's not. Would you show up on the job site and just kind of get an overall view of the whole job site and going, okay, we got 350 of these houses to build. There's 4 different models.
Yeah, I was never the foreman. I was always the secondhand man. So that wasn't good, I don't think. Because now I'm like on super autopilot.
Yeah.
Because if anything crazy happened, I'm like, oh, I don't have to figure it out.
What were you swinging there? What kind of hammer were you using then, and what are you using now?
I was actually a Stanley Anti-Vibe, I think it was called. It was so small. I didn't get the Estwing. I got the Stanley.
Yeah.
And my first day, I'm like, wow, what is that hammer? It's when the T-bone first, I think it's actually called the Tie-bone, the way that Mark actually, the stiletto,
Yeah.
the titanium one.
Yeah.
It's actually called Tie-bone. A lot of people call them T-bones, but he had one of those, and then I eventually got one of those, and then I used it for like 8 years straight probably, and then it broke when I was doing form work, because those things can't handle forms.
It's too hard.
Yeah, so it was the I call them the T-bone. We used that. Never really got a good tool belt until I started my own business, though. Like, I looked at Occidentals for probably 7 years, and I'm like, oh, it's too expensive. It's too expensive.
How much are they?
I think that they would probably be around like $450, I think.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I got one, and I'm like, there's a Diamondback out here. I want that one. So now I have the Diamondback.
Is it much better?
I love it.
Yeah.
I went from wearing the suspenders to not needing them because the Diamondback belt's 6 inches. It's like a weightlifting belt.
Yeah.
And you wear it above your, like, high. It's way up. It's not on your...
So you got no center pain going
yeah,
right. Yeah,
it's great. I love it. The thing is, now I do mostly finish carpentry, and I didn't wear my tool belt for like 6 months straight. She's just tape measure and pencil.
That's it?
And square in the back pocket that would always scratch a wall or a door. Don't do that.
Plastic square. No, you can't use a plastic square.
Yeah, barely used my tool belt at all this year. It's so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But another thing is, I did go to trade school, and it's came in very handy, especially on my current project where I'm doing all the layout. I used a plumb bob for the first time.
Man, this is like, why is everybody bringing that up so much, man? It's
the first time I've done it ever,
Wow.
I think. And I learned that stuff when I went to trade school.
I still have one somewhere. I just don't know where it is.
I had to find it. And I'm like, wow, I actually have not used this.
I need to find it. I really need to find it. Put it on the table here.
And my friend came, and he's like, what is this, from the medieval times? And I'm like,
did you finish the pyramids with this thing? What's going on, man?
But I learned the old school way getting into framing, like, so strings, and there's no lasers and stuff like that. Now, I wasn't quite at the time where I hand nailed everything. We had the pass loads. But I do know how to do everything the original way, like the bird's mouse and the rafters and stuff like that.
It's really good that you know how to do
It
that.
is really good. So definitely that's important.
Yeah.
You have to know how to do it without the technology. I actually use, there's some software. It's a website for doing stairs that like maps out a plan of your stairs. It figures out everything for you. I use that, but then I'm like, what if I didn't have this? I still, can do it manually with the square. But so I think that with the technology, it's best to actually know how to do it. Like, I guess you could say analog, like the real way, with the strings and the levels.
Vinyl.
Yeah, vinyl.
No, it's good to know that, right?
Yeah, because you can be too trapped into the technology.
Yeah, and you'll be stuck on it.
Yeah.
It's so true. I want to ask you on the high rise there, if they're always using metric, what's a 2x4?
38 by 89.
Really? So they're all just wrapping off 38 by, really?
Yeah.
Doesn't roll off the tongue.
Well, you know what though? They don't actually talk like that. He'll say 2x4.
Of course.
But on the plans, everything is
written that way.
It's metric, yeah. Yeah. But I use both now that I do mostly finished carpentry.
Are you finding that you're using the metric?
Oh yeah.
Really?
I have a Stabila measuring, like a ruler, a folding ruler.
Yeah.
And it's metric. I use that the most. I do like using metric for any finished carpentry.
Good for you that you're going down that road.
Yeah.
I made an effort by getting a tape measure with both of them, and I just never stuck to metric. Man.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah. If you said 75 square meters, I don't know what that is. Yeah.
Let me share a little bit of Green Book talk here, talking about asbestos. Demolition of anything can only occur when all asbestos-containing material that may be distributed during the work has been removed. So we know now, well, I don't know how it is around your neck of the woods, but in Toronto, it's mandatory now. We have to test the houses depending on a certain age. And recently you start finding out that you have to test the lead paint because you can't mechanically cut that. People come in with a reciprocating saw and start chopping it up, and now you're airborning lead paint, which you could breathe in, and it becomes just as hazardous as breathing in asbestos, right? Material containing 0.1% or more asbestos by dry weight cannot be installed by spraying or as thermal insulation. Liquid sealant cannot be applied to asbestos-containing material if it is visible, deteriorating, or the material's strength adhesion is not enough to support the weight of the sealant. You know that asbestos products were still used up until the late 90s?
No,
Because the government of Canada, I'm not speaking for the U.S., but the government of Canada allowed companies that still had stock to sell it.
Really? Get rid of it?
They already knew that it was dangerous, but you guys.
Yeah, they
still
wanted to so they
it.
didn't have to dispose of it.
A respirator must be supplied by the employer when asbestos containing material. I mean, I go even further than that because you got to start bringing in the boys to do that.
Yep.
HEPA filters, like there's a bunch of things, and everyone's just got to be cautious of all this stuff. This is very serious stuff, and it's not stuff that you'll get sick now. You'll get sick later, and when you're retired and you want some happy years, that's what's going to happen, man.
Yeah, I've tried to be better. Hearing protection, I'm like I wear I wear my ISO tunes every single day I'm working. Now I know I've already been damaged from the other years where I wasn't wearing them, but I make sure that I wear my hearing protection. And I get laughed at often. I got one of those Razor dust masks, actually a Diamondback one. People are like, "What are you doing? You're wearing it?" To like laugh at me. You're wearing a dust mask. You're cutting pressure treated.
I love the earring protection, dude.
Yeah.
Like I totally, especially when other trades are hammering away with some hard, like serious sounds.
Yeah, and it's getting so good where the ones that I have, they actually have a microphone in them. So before, like the first generation ones, you just couldn't hear. Someone could be right beside you. And now you can turn them up. So you can I can hear a dog. It actually amplifies. I'll hear the wind blowing, and then I'll just turn them down, and no wind, no dogs barking. I can just, yeah, it's good. I always wear my eye protection. I've been to the hospital once for not wearing. So, and that's another thing. Not necessarily don't get made fun of, but to see a framer walking around with like clear safety glasses it's pretty rare in residential anyway.
Amber, no? Or no?
It's usually just sunglasses or nothing from everyone that I know. Yeah, it's not that common. I mean, but I also haven't been framing, like production framing in like 5 years. So maybe people are getting better with the...
I thought I was always, well, I mean, a lot of the Eastern European framers that I know, they don't even wear any eye protection at all, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like they're just so used to it.
And then
right?
you go to New Zealand and Australia, and they've all got the big earmuffs.
Yes.
They wear them on their, like, it's just, they're so much
Standard.
better with that stuff.
I know.
Yeah. What else am I good at?
But a lot of the good safety stuff is coming from Europe,
Yeah.
right? It's just got to get filtered here.
I try my best with cutting MDF. I try and wear my mask, but it does. I always cut outside too, and I'm always hooked up to my dust extractor. But if I'm doing a bunch of cuts, I will throw my mask on, especially if I'm going through the table saw with the MDF, because as much as I want to work with real wood and only real wood,
You can't climb will not always.
no.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to protect myself because I know I might not retire until I'm really old. So I'm trying to, the dust and the hearing protection. I'm very on.
MDF's really bad. And I mean, the worst thing is that you blow your nose and it's just all brown. You're
Yeah.
like, wait a minute. Like, is that just in your nose now?
But I'm lucky because of the technology now that I'm catching it early. I'm wearing this stuff early in my career, whereas a lot of the old timers, quote unquote, it just, there wasn't, no one knew.
Well, that's the excuse that they use now, but it shouldn't stop them from educating anybody that they see on a job site.
Yeah.
Like I've always, if I see it, I'll talk to them. I'll always talk to them, right?
Yeah.
And like it's like you don't. I know that you're young, and I know that you have super hearing, and I know that you're fine. You don't need. I get it. I understand all this shit, but there'll come a time in your 40s and 50s, and that impact sound, that breaker, SDS or something, is just going to be so high pitched and damaging. And
Yeah.
that's not the tool doing that. That's the damage to your ear that's doing that.
Yeah.
So it's really important just to keep it right.
Yes, sir.
Now, man, you ready for the 12 questions? I think we're close to wrapping it up.
I'm ready.
It's been good having you on the show, man.
Yeah, it's been great to finally be
Honestly,
here.
dude, such a humble person, man, and you got a lot of I want you to see. I want you to Scott expand. You know what I'm saying? Sauve expand.
Yeah.
I don't want you I don't see you being a massive company. I think you're just gonna always want to hang on to that that quality, right? But I definitely see you as being a teacher, wanting to hand off and learn and bring other players into the game as well too, right?
I try to just be really honest, because especially with social media, like I just wanted to speak and be like, it is really hard to be a solo run construction company.
Very hard, man.
It is, but I'm here and I'm doing it, and I would I don't regret it. I just wanted to say like it is very hard, and I don't want like an extra pat on the back. It's just, please, anyone that wants to make the leap to do it, but just to stay true, trust yourself, trust the process, and just be prepared.
If that voice is speaking to you, listen to it.
Yeah. But that's just something like, it's just having humility. And I really struggled with surviving this long.
But you made it.
But I'd rather speak. A lot of people would be like, they would never say that. You know what I mean? They'd have too much of an ego. And I'm not sinking. I'm not sinking, by the way. I'm doing great right now.
No, you're doing well. Everything's working out great, right? The only thing I would say is spend a little bit of time with the significant other. That's all. Or make a little bit of time for the significant other, right? But don't take couples therapy from me, man. Don't worry. Or Carlito. Okay. Definitely don't take it from Carlito. What is your favorite construction word, Scott?
Approved.
Approved. What is your least favorite construction word?
Out. So that's one word, and that's blowout, out of plumb, or out of level. I want nothing to do with that.
What turns you on in construction?
Straight lines and symmetry.
What turns you off?
It's I actually talked about it earlier. It's the small stuff. It's the nails missing the stud. It's the paper that's flapping. And just cleanliness, the job site.
Just laziness. What's your favorite curse word? We haven't even been swearing, so it's up to you.
What's my favorite curse word?
There's a few in construction.
Yeah, I heard it on The Sopranos, but I don't know if it's actually real. So
what's that?
It's he says bukiak.
Bukiak.
Yeah, it's the C word in Italian apparently. But it doesn't. That was from The Sopranos.
I don't know. I got to look that one up.
I shouldn't have said it.
No, I got to look that one up. What is your favorite vehicle?
It's
anything in the world.
Duramax. The
Yeah?
Allison transmission, yeah.
What's your least favorite?
I think it's called like a Gladiator. It's a Jeep. It's like those half truck things or Avalanche. So just be a truck or don't be a truck.
My sister-in-law bought one of those recently. I was like,
I'm proud. I'm a proud truck driver. Like,
but that's not a truck.
I know.
I don't think it's a truck. I think it's a Jeep with
makes me upset.
With a little cargo baggage thing or something. It's not a truck. It's just
to take your DeWalt tools home and.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. What construction sound or noise do you love?
Brushless tools, actually.
Yeah?
Because I didn't have the brushless because they were expensive, and then I bought the brushless ones, and I'm like, I really like the sound of these.
What'd you do with all the brush?
I still got them.
Still have them?
And I got all my corded stuff, too. I got corded and cordless.
Kids won't touch the corded.
Yeah, but they're just so much better.
Yeah, I know.
They are.
What construction sound or noise do you hate?
It's just generator / air compressor. It's so annoying. I haven't heard it in a long time because I don't have to hear it, but...
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Professional golfer, if we can pick that, because that was my first.
We could pick anything in the world. You still golf?
I golfed 2 weeks ago. I golf once a year now since I started my business, but it was my first love.
You need to pump up those numbers, man.
Yeah, it was my first love for sure. I was like scratch golfer, shooting some rounds under par when I was a teenager. Yeah, but
wow,
I'm not bitter about it anymore.
No. What profession would you not like to do?
I don't. Was it parking official? Whatever those people are that go around and write tickets.
Oh, a meter. Rent a cop or whatever.
Dumb people.
Yeah, they're people. I've never yelled at them.
Yeah, I don't either, but I just don't. I don't want to do it.
I've gotten away from not getting a ticket because they had to still write it, and then I got into the car.
You just put your four-ways on.
That's it, just gone. Last question: if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at those pearly gates, Scott?
Batteries are all charged and ready to go.
Everybody, check him out, Scott Sauve.
That's it.
Sauve Construction, and it's sauvecreates.com, which is spelled SAUVE, creates.com, and it's Scott at sauvecreates.com. And Scott, thank you so much for being on the show and taking the trek out here, man. Pleasure to finally meet. We've spoken so many times, but never meet. And it's, I like that the show is allowing me to meet so many people and have conversations.
Yeah, no, it's great.
We wouldn't normally have, right? So
yeah.
Oh, dude.
I wanted to make sure that when I came on here, I wasn't. I just wanted to be real. I didn't want to.
That you certainly are,
like, you know, I'm super successful and all that stuff. Like, I just wanted to show that, you can do it. You can start your own business, and it's going to be tough, but you can get through it. Because I've had so many nights where I'm like, I think I'm going to be out of business. I think I'm going to be out of business, and I just trusted myself, and I had a support group, which does help, but. And I'm not like, now I don't even, honestly, now I know I'm not going to go out of business because I know the value that I bring, and not discounting yourself also is really important. Now when I send my estimate, I don't even hesitate now because I know that I'm worth it. Self-doubt is very, very punishing. So people need to try and believe in themselves a little bit more because you know that you can do it, and I'm doing it. it's been tough, but it's
But
been
look-
great to be here.
But looking back, Scott, would you have wanted easy?
No, like
No,
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 no.
no. It's like any true tradesperson don't want it to be easy, man. It's got to be some.
It can't be.
No, it's got to be. There's got to be challenges. There's got to be hardships, man.
It's like throw yourself into the fire and let it forge you. That's another one. I'm gonna end on that one, I think.
Nice, man.
There we go.
Thank you very much, Scott.
Thank you.
We are out of here. Thank you, Angelina.